Triangle breathing is a great technique that is what I would call a variation or at least a close relative of box breathing. Triangle breathing, very similar to its namesake, is based on the shape of a triangle. Now, probably most commonly when we think of a triangle, you think of like a shape like that. Triangle breathing is actually the inverted version of that because we're breathing inhaling, or so we're breathing in, then there's a pause at the top, and then we're exhaling out. So it's a triangle's upside down. Now, for some people, triangle breathing feels like a nicer pattern of breath, especially if the exhale hold on a box breathing can feel quite long. Triangle breathing itself can be a really calming practice because there's potentially, and for me at times, it can feel like less effort than a box breath. What is nice is that triangle breathing, much like box breathing, can stimulate the vagus nerve, which creates a relaxation response. It has the calming effect. It has the down-regulating effect of the nervous system. So it has all the same benefits of a box breath, but it can be done in a very simpler and often more direct way, which is simply breathe in, pause, breathe out. So that's what we talk about when we look at triangle breathing. And it is nice to know that there is variations for foundational practices. So in this kind of systematic technique, when we're shifting the pattern of the breath, so breathe in, pause, and breathe out, this is how a triangle breath is going to work. All right, let's do a few rounds. Find a comfortable seat. Take a conscious breath. Inhale. And breathe out. Remember, it's a full deep breath, so breathe all the way in. Pause. And breathe all the way out. Breathe all the way in. Pause. Breathe all the way out. Let's do one more. Breathe all the way in. Pause. And breathe all the way out. Good. Rest for a moment. Now, the slight difference with a triangle breath versus a box breath is by nature, let's say a box breath is equal on all sides, right? It's a box breath or a square breath. Whereas if there was variation in the length, you might have like a rectangle breath, right? Or a funky shaped four-sided object breath. The thing about a triangle is it doesn't by definition mean that all the sides need to be the same. So if we're just looking at, let's call it the foundational technique of triangle breathing, we're looking at what you might call like an equilateral triangle, if you remember from your math school days. And that's all the sides are the same. So inhale is the same as the pause, which is the same as the exhale. Whereas there are some techniques which will have variation where one side of the triangle will be a certain length or count, the pause will be a certain length or count, and the exhale will be a certain length or count. But when we look at the fundamental understanding of triangle breath, it's even-sided on inhale, pause, and exhale. And much like the foundations of a box breath or an even breath, it's not even count related. It's a feeling of even fullness on the pause, even fullness on the exhale. So just remember that and know that there's always going to be different variations that layer on top of foundational technique awareness. And so we want to make sure that there's clarity in our understanding. So triangle breath, inhale, full, pause, exhale, full, right? You can think about those full breaths as full breaths, deep breaths, 360 breaths, conscious breaths. So that's how we're going to look at triangle breathing.